Protagonist selected: Commander Ernest E. Evans, U.S. Navy, USS Johnston. His defiant, documented decisions in the face of overwhelming odds turned a worthless destroyer into a nightmare that stunned the Imperial Japanese Navy. You do not charge a battleship with a destroyer. For decades, every navy on Earth understands this rule. Destroyers are escorts, screens, pickets, thin-skinned ships meant to scout, to warn, to die early so heavier units can live. Battleships, by contrast, are floating fortresses, steel mountains with guns that can erase cities. Cruisers sit between them, bristling with armor and firepower. The hierarchy is clear. It is taught in every naval academy. It is reinforced by every war game. It is not questioned. The Imperial Japanese Navy believes this rule more deeply than most. They are heirs to Tsushima, masters of decisive battle doctrine, convinced that naval war will be settled by massive fleets meeting in open water. In their calculations, American destroyers are expendable, useful perhaps, dangerous in swarms, but individually, worthless. By October 1944, Japan's high command clings to this belief because it has to. Their empire is shrinking. Their oil is vanishing. Their experienced pilots are dead or dying. But their surface fleet, battleships, heavy cruisers, long-lance torpedoes still exists. And if they can bring it to bear at the right place, against the right target, they believe they can still change the war. The rule is simple. American escort carriers are helpless. Their destroyer screens will scatter. A Japanese surface force will sweep in, annihilate them, and smash the invasion of the Philippines in a single devastating blow. That is the rule. But in October of 1944, off an unremarkable patch of water east of Samar, one commander breaks it. And nothing about the Imperial Japanese Navy's assumptions survives the morning. Commander Ernest Edwin Evans is 36 years old. He is short for a naval officer, stocky, with a sharp voice and an intensity that fills any room he enters. He is also part Native American, Cherokee, and Creek, and he carries that heritage with quiet pride. His father is a doctor, his mother a schoolteacher. He graduates from the Naval Academy in 1931, not at the top of his class, but with a reputation for toughness and relentless energy. Evans is not a man who waits for permission when action is required. By 1944, he commands USS Johnston, a Fletcher-class destroyer. She displaces just over 2,000 tons. Her main battery, 5 5-inch guns. Her armor, negligible. Her real weapon is speed, over 35 knots, and 10 torpedoes, each capable of tearing open even a battleship if they hit. Evans drills his crew mercilessly. Gunnery, damage control, torpedo attacks at night. He believes that a destroyer's greatest weapon is not steel or explosives, but surprise and aggression. He tells his officers something they never forget. A fighting ship must fight, even when outnumbered. The broader war is reaching a climax. In October 1944, American forces land on Leyte in the Philippines. It is not just another invasion. It is the return. Cutting Japan off from the oil fields of Southeast Asia will strangle the empire. The Japanese understand this. They commit nearly everything they have left to stop it. Their plan, Shogo, is complex, desperate, and brutally logical. Multiple fleets will converge on Leyte Gulf. A decoy carrier force will draw away the U.S. Third Fleet. Then a massive surface force, center force, will slip through the San Bernardino Strait and fall upon the American invasion beaches. That center force is terrifying. For battleships, including Yamato, the largest battleship ever built, 6 heavy cruisers, 2 light cruisers, 11 destroyers, guns up to 18 inches, thousands of shells, thousands of sailors. Opposing them, on the morning of October 25th, 1944, are 6 small escort carriers, jeep carriers, Task Unit April 3rd, 77, known as Taffy 3. Their aircraft are armed mostly for ground support. Their escorts, 3 destroyers and 4 destroyer escorts. USS Johnston is one of those 3. At dawn, Evans does not know he is about to face the most powerful surface fleet Japan has ever assembled. But he will. And when he sees it, he will not hesitate. The first shells arrive just after 6:58 a.m. They are enormous. Tall columns of water rise near the escort carriers. Shell splashes unlike anything the Americans have seen before. These are not cruiser shells. These are battleship shells. Observers scramble. Lookouts shout bearings. Smoke pours from Japanese stacks on the horizon. Gray shapes resolve into towering silhouettes. Battleships. Cruisers. A wall of steel. You feel the deck vibrate as distant guns fire again. The air seems to thicken. The impossible has happened. The Japanese center force is here. On Johnston, Commander Evans reacts instantly. He orders flank speed. 35 knots. The ship shudders as turbines scream. White water explodes along the bow. Without waiting for orders, Evans turns directly toward the enemy. Think about that. You are in a destroyer. 2,000 tons of steel. Ahead of you, a fleet that outweighs you by nearly 200 to 1. Guns that can kill you with a single hit. And you turn toward them. Evans orders smoke deployed. Thick, black clouds pour from generators, screening the escort carriers behind him. Then he does something even more audacious. He orders an attack. The range closes fast. 15,000 yards. 14,000. Japanese guns adjust. Salvos walk closer. Shells scream overhead like freight trains. One lands short. Another lands long. The next straddles. Evans keeps going. 10,000 yards. At this distance, Japanese cruisers can obliterate him. Battleships can vaporize him. But Evans wants closer. He wants torpedo range. 9,000 yards. 8,000. A shell hits near Johnston. Shrapnel rips across the deck. Men are thrown. Blood appears instantly. Bright against gray steel. Damage control teams move without orders. This ship has trained for this. 7,000 yards. Evans lines up a heavy cruiser, Kumano. 6,000 yards. Now Japanese fire concentrates. Columns of water crash over the bridge. Steel shrieks as fragments tear into the hull. One hit punches through the ship, killing men instantly. Another detonates below the waterline. The ship shudders but stays alive. 5,500 yards. Evans orders torpedoes away. One by one, 5 Mark 15 torpedoes leap from their tubes. White wakes streak toward the enemy. Second stretch, then explosions. Kumano is hit. Her bow erupts. Steel folds. Flames leap skyward. She shears out of formation, crippled, flooding rapidly. A destroyer, crippling a heavy cruiser. The Japanese do not understand what they are seeing. But Johnston is not finished. Japanese shells slam into her again. One hits the bridge. The blast kills men instantly. Shrapnel tears through Evans. He is wounded badly, but he stays on his feet. He refuses medical treatment. He wraps his hand in cloth and keeps fighting. The ship turns away under smoke, disappearing briefly. Japanese gunners lose sight. For a moment, it looks like Johnston might escape. Then Evans turns back in. Again, he brings the ship around for another attack. This time with guns blazing. 5-inch shells hammer Japanese destroyers at close range. You hear the crack of outgoing fire, the clang of shell casings, the screams of wounded men below decks. A Japanese destroyer explodes. Another veers off, burning. But now, the enemy reacts in force. Cruisers shift fire. Battleships range in. The sky fills with shells. A direct hit destroys Johnston's engine room. Speed drops. Power flickers. Steering falters. The ship slows. This is the moment failure becomes certain. Dead in the water under battleship fire. Johnston should die in seconds. Evans orders emergency repairs. Damage control parties work in darkness, knee-deep in water and oil. They patch lines, restore partial power. The ship crawls forward again, wounded but alive. And still, Evans does not retreat. He uses his crippled ship to draw fire away from the carriers. Every shell aimed at Johnston is a shell not aimed at the helpless escort carriers behind her. Around them, chaos reigns. Other American destroyers, Hull and Heermann, launch their own attacks. Destroyer escorts fire until their guns melt. Escort carriers launch aircraft armed with depth charges. Machine guns, anything that can shoot. Japanese commanders are stunned. This is not what is supposed to happen. At around 8 a.m., Johnston is hit again. And again, her forward guns fall silent. Fires rage. Men fight flames with bare hands. Ammunition cooks off. The ship lists. Evans, bleeding, refuses to leave the bridge. Another shell hits near him. This time, it knocks him down. When he rises, he can barely stand. But he gives orders anyway. He keeps fighting until the guns can no longer fire. At approximately 9:45 a.m., Johnston is surrounded. Japanese cruisers close in, firing point blank. The ship is a wreck. Speed is gone. Weapons are gone. Survivors are everywhere, wounded and burned. Evans gives the final order, abandon ship. As the crew prepares to leave, witnesses see Evans last on the bridge, wounded, helping others. He is never seen again. USS Johnston rolls over and sinks. Of a crew of 327, 186 are killed. She has fought battleships, cruisers, and destroyers for over 3 hours. And she has changed the battle. Mid-roll CTA. If you find this kind of forgotten history as fascinating as we do, we'd be honored if you'd hit that subscribe button. We believe these stories of courage and sacrifice deserve to be told. And by subscribing, you help us ensure they aren't forgotten. What the Japanese command does not know, in the smoke and confusion, is that they are winning. Their guns have sunk destroyers. They have crippled carriers. They still possess overwhelming firepower. But they hesitate. Reports flood in, torpedo attacks, fierce resistance, smoke screens, constant harassment. Japanese commanders believe they are facing a much larger force than they are. They believe American fleet carriers must be nearby. They believe they have blundered into a trap. Admiral Kurita hesitates, and that hesitation is fatal. Instead of pressing the attack, instead of annihilating the invasion fleet, the Japanese center force turns away. They withdraw. The greatest surface fleet Japan ever assembled retreats from a handful of destroyers and escort carriers. Leyte is saved. The invasion holds. The Philippines fall. Japan's access to oil is severed. The empire's fate is sealed. Only later do Japanese officers learn the truth, that the ships which defied them were small, outgunned and desperate, that a single destroyer, labeled worthless in pre-war estimates, had charged directly into their guns. They never forget the lesson. Commander Ernest E. Evans is posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor. He is 36 years old. Many of his crew survive the water. They float for hours, days. Sharks circle. The sun burns. Some are rescued. Many are not. Those who live tell the story for the rest of their lives. They talk about a commander who never asked them to do anything he would not do himself. A man who believed that courage could outweigh steel. That duty did not end when survival became unlikely. USS Johnston rests beneath the Philippine Sea. Her wreck, discovered decades later, broken, battered, but still unmistakably defiant. To this day, naval officers study her final battle, not because it was perfect, but because it was human, because it reminds us that war is not decided only by numbers and machines, but by choices. If this story moved you, please hit that like button. Every click tells the algorithm this piece of history is worth remembering. We're dedicated to rescuing these forgotten stories from the archives. If you want to join us on this mission, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Where are you watching from? Drop a comment with your city or state, and tell us if someone in your family served. Thank you for ensuring that Ernest E. Evans and the 186 men of USS Johnston do not disappear into silence. They deserve to be remembered.